In this video, I will make it painfully obvious that I'm right, and I will explore where you would expect to find the top martial artist, and make it as obvious as expecting to find the tallest of people among the children of the tallest of people from the generation before. I will cite the Smallville actress Allison Mack's sex cult, ESP. Okay, has another name as well. I will connect it to the Dalai Lama, to Buddhism, to the New Age. I will explore the sports gene just briefly. The book Fighting for Honor, I will allude to it again. And I will bring up, I don't know if you can see it here, because my screen is dimmed. Somewhere here, is the sun on the flag. This is about my tribe with a bunch of small tribes taking on the most powerful and biggest country in Africa, excuse me, most populated, Nigeria, right? And of course, the sun symbolism, the rising sun, right? There was once a country, right? It's rising because the orange up here, right? It's not setting. That is what that symbolism is trying to say. So let's consider the ugly duckling, the martial arts emergence. First of all, I'd like to point out what should be obvious to every martial artist. You would not expect to find the best martial artists, or especially not the best martial artists, in a group that is known for extreme conformity. An urban black community, for example, even though black people disproportionately tend to have the sports gene. Okay, and it should be fairly obvious when you look at cultures why that is. Figure it out, right? Body structure, shape, etc. So when I say black community, I'm referring to African American community, right? Extreme conformity, really an African community as well, if they're an extreme conformist. A martial artist, in the introduction, it's even in the introduction of this book by a college professor, okay? T.J. Dush Obi. Remember, Obi means king and heart and hut, and I've gone over this. Kura Obi, black belt, the sign of rank and so on. Okay, even in this book. Okay, he's a transcendent hero. That's part of what motivates him. Inspiration. Inspire a shun. Right, what are you shunning? Okay. In spirit, I in. This is a play on word for these things. Absolutely. Inspiration. What's inspiring him? Is he like Bruce Lee, just trying to be a famous martial artist and show off? And, kind of explain his philosophy that doesn't really solve or address the underlying causes in society? Or is he trying to be a hero? That puts me by default in a whole nother category. You're not going for top martial artist if you're not going for hero. This is why even Hera, the wordplay around her name, Hora was Greek for season, think terrain. Okay? Erate for beloved, and Heros for master. So even the wife of the king of the gods in Greek mythology, even the Greeks knew. Now, of course, they had the Spartans and so on and so forth. But even the followers of a female deity knew. The Greeks weren't exactly known for the masses of female warriors, but they understood that the true master is a hero. He is beloved, and he considers the time, the season, the terrain. It has everything to do with religion. So we would not expect this thing to grow, this person to grow in an urban conformist community. Western culture is about screening out the masses of heroes incrementally, okay, of potential heroes rather. There can be only one top hero. So 99% plus of Americans it's already impossible for them to be that because they're not in that state of mind already. That's just the first point. I've already ruled out 99% of everyone else. Where would we expect them? Well, I grew up, since I was a young teenager in a rural area. A rural area like the capoeiras in Rio, like the leopard society of the Igbos in Rio that this book is about. Remember, the sun, the cat of Heliopolis, the leopard. Ra's cult center on Iunu is also what it's called, okay? On Heliopolis, Iunu. Of course, this overlaps with the Greek mythology, Helios. That's why it's called Heliopolis, because they're trying to merge their culture and philosophies as cultural imperialists and superimpose it on the Egyptian religion, just like Constantine superimposed the P on the X, the chi, rho, which penis, and why the worldly Roman kind of perspective. Okay, so yes, we expect them in the rural area, Shaolin monasteries, perhaps. The problem is they have to emerge as a hero, or what's motivating them? Peaceful states of mind? I don't think any of us doubt that somebody who's motivated to be a hero is greater than somebody who has withdrawn and has decided to meditate and to transcend in a non-active war spirit manner. It goes without saying. And we'll get to that momentarily, why the Shaolin Kung Fu guys do not possess the top martial artist at this point, and since it ends with me, or ever, again, if they ever had it in the first place. Anyway. So when we look at it, we would want to look for immigrants, right? First, second, and third generations. Because the white culture obviously is a conformist culture that screens out true martial artists. They're not inspired by heroism, but conformity, ill-gotten gains. Name one white martial artist in a country that's 70% white that rose to power, inspired to be a hero, and that is addressing the underlying causes of society. This is the majority race. Why not? Name one rich person, Jew, Asian. We don't see this. So if it exists, it cannot be part of this conformist culture we see in this society. It has to be from a culture from somewhere else. The top martial arts can only be a first, second, or third generation immigrant. Period. So let's look at the shape. If someone would say they're the fastest long distance runner in the world, okay, would we expect them to have these thick kind of legs, right? These thick legs? No. We would expect them to have, certain muscular, kind of more defined legs, kind of thinner legs. Think about the bull legs. Why doesn't the bull have thick legs, right? It kicks, right? The horse, the ox, the goat, these are kicking animals, among other things, right? They kick. Okay, look at their legs. So we expect a certain body structure. So now the vast majority of immigrants are ruled out. They simply aren't built to have this effective martial arts structure in their DNA. Okay, regardless if they're from Europe or Africa or anywhere else. Okay, so we look at the physique of my father, for example. This guy is a brain surgeon with the African physique, with those kind of legs I've described where Africans walk around a lot, these powerful kind of kicking legs. Okay, the physique, the mind, okay, and the surgical. He has big arms and he was surgical, and the rough face. So he's determined. He has a strong will. He married a woman who was a doctor as well, who's smart, who was also determined in a time where it was different, where women were facing a certain degree of adversity, establishing themselves as doctors. To this day, when people think doctors, they tend to think men, but we're starting to phase out of that. So when we look at inspiration, conditioning, genes, and a mind that thinks fast. Why does a martial artist have to think fast? Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why that is. It's more than just conditioning reflexes and repetitive motions like we see with fighters. Okay? It is thinking outside of the box and doing the unexpected, the unpredictable, in a very profound and unusual way, which is a minimum requirement for the top martial artist. Okay. We don't expect them to emerge, again, reinforcing my earlier points, in a eugenic society where breeding is controlled and pairing is controlled. This is why we, for the most part, don't expect them to be an African American, with all due respect. They simply have screened out. This is what this book is about. It's about screening out African American martial artists from North and South America, right? From the Americas, okay? That's how the book ends, okay? Those who resisted the dishonor of whipping disarmed their oppressor. Okay, let me go back. This fighting ability under the right circumstances provided exceptional individuals with the force to demand dignity. Even the less fortunate who were killed in their attempts to defend their honor died fighting as proud women and men. These people were screened out, dying because they were hero martial artists. They're gone. Okay. So they were paired. The people who were left were paired. right? Who are the more successful blacks? They're sports players. They're not martial artists. They're not heroes. They're basketball players. They're football players. They're jocks. A jock is not the same thing as a hero, and quite often they are at odds with the hero, even in the movies. See the movie Perfect Weapon, for example. In the beginning, toward the beginning, he kicks a jock in the head and it gets in trouble, a football player in his outfit. All right, so the insightful, wise, and strong-willed mind. This mind refuses to give in the face of adversity. It perseveres. This is different from the transferable body type of the craftsman that the West is putting above the true hero at every turn. Okay. Martial arts schools are very concerned with cultural conceptions of martial arts proficiency. They depend on demonstrations on their websites, on Facebook, on YouTube. They keep an eye on YouTube so they don't get left behind. Their business depends on it. It's not just their pride and their dedication to that art and trying to make it seem more respectable than others. Their business, their livelihood depends on it. And their structure is connected. Their martial arts structure is connected to their businesses and their cultures that keep their eyes to their ears to the street and their eyes to information technology. This is why my challenge is the bell that rings the loudest. It was saying, if I am not the best, prove me wrong. As a brain surgeon's son, the son of 2 doctors, as an African martial arts royal family's son, if I am wrong, as the representative of perhaps the toughest race on the planet's royal family, martial arts royal family, mind you, a race of people that even in their own popular culture, they've assigned that respect to. Who do you think Ali and Tyson are related to? When we look at Oz, it was the biggest guy in the prison series. Oz was a Nigerian, not even an African American. And then we have the African dance, where people are dancing on their hands and doing all kinds of amazing athletic feats. A lot of the martial art techniques are said to come from my tribe. So when we see the diets and the lack of martial arts excellence expressed through sparring publicly by Buddhists, it rules out the only perhaps exception to the rule is that they don't want to feed their ego by accepting the challenge, Then why did Jet Li come out? Why did Jackie Chan come out? Why did Bruce Lee, who started off with a Buddhist sort of kung fu system, Wing Chun, IP Man, and so on and so forth? Okay. When we see IP Man, Ip Man, right? And Chinese, representing Chinese boxing in popular culture, you think that doesn't inspire them? What about the guy who fought against the UFC fighter and lost and was beat up, and there was this huge cry of outrage in the Asian community in general? So when you consider all these things, right, it's very straightforward that the hero will emerge as such. He will challenge other martial artists for his rightful place, and we will look for him in the exact kind of places that you would look for me. And as you look in those places, my family becomes the bell that rings the loudest. Okay? These are the guys who fought in the Civil War with fucking pea shooters against tanks and planes and killed a large amount of people in the face of adversity, barely armed. These are the Leopard Society African martial artists of old that dominated Rio in every race. These are the people that the Brazilians had to steal their art from because they themselves didn't have a more respectable art. Capoeira comes from African slaves, ultimately from Angola. Okay. These are the guys who are the most marginalized in society. These are the guys, when you make a book about the sports gene, you put the people who eugenicists controlled their breeding, on the front cover. From the family that conquered all these guys, emerged as the royal family, okay, and had them falling in line. They are the people who don't have the honor to stand with me, much less the courage, the determination, the willpower, the insight, the profound motivation and inspiration to try to emerge as a hero. I am the top martial artist. Thank you.